Have you ever wanted to fly through the skies, beat up the bad guys, and be the hero of the day? Of course you have. Everybody has. But now, in VR, that's entirely possible. Today, we're going to run through the best superhero experiences that you can play on your VR headset. We're going to start with the one that's obviously getting top billion right now, Batman Arkham Shadow. Now, Batman has had a previous VR experience, Batman Arkham VR for PlayStation VR. But in my opinion, that one was pretty lukewarm. It was an interesting title for its time, an interesting series of dressing up as Batman and investigating crime scenes, but it didn't really feel like an Arkham game. That series has become legendary on PC and consoles, and while there have been a few weaker titles, the formula, especially the combat, has been praised almost universally. Batman Arkham VR recreates that experience in virtual reality. It's a game that has a linear pathway which you follow through as Batman and engage in some light puzzle solving, but mostly in combat. And I personally was very worried when this game was announced that combat was going to be very rigid, almost like arcadey. You have to punch in this way and attack this way in order to make in order for things to happen. But that wasn't the case. What we got here was a free-form combat experience where you play as Batman. And all sorts of other elements, such as throwing batarangs and gliding across the sky with your cape and so on, they're all here, and they're all present, and they all work well. Batman Arkham Shadow is currently only available for MetaQuest 3. It launched nearly a year ago now, and there's no signs it's coming to any other platforms. So if you want what is arguably the best superhero experience in VR right now, you're going to have to get a MetaQuest 3 or a MetaQuest 3S. Next up, we have a bit of an older title, Marvel's Iron Man VR. This game originally debuted for the original PlayStation VR and was extremely well received when it did. It has super intuitive controls for I'm not sure what they're called, your jets? Iron Man's propulsion devices that allow you to soar through the sky. It has aerial-based combat and basically makes you feel like a bit of a badass. The game was so well received that it eventually got a MetaQuest port with significant upgrades. There was an overhaul of the visuals and the graphics in the game, and much more besides, making the MetaQuest version actually better than the PlayStation VR original. It's a real shame that Marvel's Iron Man VR for PlayStation VR didn't get any kind of backwards compatibility or upgrade for PlayStation VR 2, because I personally think if it was relaunched now as a PSVR 2 title, it would do really well. There is an audience there hungry for new content and software, and plenty of gamers on PlayStation VR 2 who didn't have the original PlayStation VR. So, guys, if you're watching this, can we get that port? Next, we're going to a game that is not so much about casting you as your favourite superhero, but allowing you to create one. Project Demigod is a game in which you can customize your superhero from a wide variety of abilities. You could become super strong or super fast or a lot of different options in this game. But what is mostly acclaimed here is the web slinging. Spider-Man has dabbled with VR a little bit, but there's never really been anything that allows you freeform Spider-Man style gameplay in the same way that Batman Arkham Shadow allows you to experience being Batman. But here in Project Demigod, you can essentially create your own Spider-Man style hero, and the web slinging in it is just, it's top tier VR experience. Project Demigod is available now and is super popular. It's definitely one worth checking out if you're not going to be diving into Marvel or DC and want to do something a bit different. That's Project Demigod. Next on the list we have Synapse. Now you might not think this is a superhero experience, but it really is all about that unique power fantasy that you do get from superhero games. Synapse has a really abstract monochrome style visual identity, which then gets splashes of colour when you engage with the world. It's a really interesting design, and the game has been made to make full use of that PSVR 2 headset. Using the Sense controllers, you can guide objects in the world. You can interact using telekinesis to pick up objects and move them about the place, or use them as weapons. Eye tracking is involved to allow you to designate where these objects will land. And it allows you to create some really interesting combinations between your telekinesis ability and traditional VR gunplay. Unfortunately, Synapse right now is limited only to PlayStation VR 2. There's no Quest port because the eye tracking is integral to the gameplay, And I'm not sure why there hasn't been a Steam VR release for those headsets which do have eye tracking. Maybe the developer, nDreams, is worried that people will buy the game on older headsets like the Vive or the Oculus Rift and then not be able to experience it as intended. But as it stands, if you have a PlayStation VR 2, Synapse is most definitely the game that you're going to want to pick up. We're going to wrap up this video with a couple of upcoming VR games that you may or may not have heard of, but they're both all about giving you that superhero fantasy experience. The first one, I'm pretty sure you do know is coming. Marvel's Deadpool VR is a MetaQuest exclusive set to land in November 2025, and this is a game about embodying Deadpool. There's been a bit of a conversation online about the voice acting in this, with Ryan Reynolds stepping aside and allowing Neil Patrick Harris to take on the role. It even went so far as Ryan Reynolds recorded his own video talking about this in a typical comedy fashion. But the game itself, while there is the whole Deadpool breaking the fourth wall and all that kind of jazz in here to create that persona, it's the combat that is really selling this game. Much like Batman Arkham Shadow, the game is designed to make you feel like you're Deadpool, make you feel like that badass engaging with enemies and taking down dozens of them at any one time because you are the superhero. Like Batman Arkham Shadow, Marvel's Deadpool VR currently is exclusive to MetaQuest. So if you want to experience this game, and you're probably going to want to, you need to get either a MetaQuest 3 or a MetaQuest 3S before the game arrives in November. Unlike Batman, there's currently no word on the game being a pack-in with a MetaQuest headset. That could change between now and launch, but right now it's looking to be only available as a standalone game. So there's no harm in going out and getting that Quest 3 now and getting ready. Finally, we come to a smaller title, but one that was announced recently and looks quite interesting. That is Street Gods. Street Gods has been developed by a UK studio, the same team that developed Drop Dead The Cabin, and it's come into VR headsets supposedly sometime this year. It's taken on board Norse mythology and superhero myth and so much more, and combining it all into this really weird power fantasy experience. It's a bit different to the other games that we've included in this video, but that's why it stands out. We think Street Gods has the potential to become a really fun, engaging superhero VR game. So if you're looking for a superhero experience on your PlayStation VR 2, PC VR or MetaQuest, these are our top picks. Obviously, if you have a MetaQuest already, you've probably played Batman Arkham Shadow. But why not try Marvel's Iron Man VR as well? That is a really fun game that you can play right now. And then you've got Project Demigod, which is just a sandbox for creating your own superhero experience. Do you have any VR superhero experiences that you really enjoyed but we missed out from this video? Make sure you let us know in the comments down below.